In this video, I'm going to be talking about how to network on LinkedIn and other social media platforms. You can do online networking anywhere, on any social platforms, but for career and professional development, LinkedIn has really got to be the place to be. A little bit of background, LinkedIn actually was started back in 2003 by some of the former employees of PayPal, and it was basically established as an early social media platform for those who want to connect for business and professional purposes. It was also started with the idea that recruiters and employers could use it to recruit and hire the candidates. And it evolved from this really niche thing for just people to post their resume and just dump all their qualifications on to something that actually is used a lot for content marketing by businesses, business-to-business sales, as well as professional and career development, and of course, getting a job if you want. The user base has been steadily growing to about 260 million monthly active users. Tens of those millions of users are actually senior level or high level decision makers and people who could be hiring you. And about 95% of recruiters also use LinkedIn to recruit. So how do you use LinkedIn? Well, let's break this down into a couple of steps. Number one is resume and profile building. Number two would be making connections and applying for jobs. And number three would be personal brand building. Now, your LinkedIn profile is basically like your online resume. You should treat it as such. And because you would treat your resume as putting your best foot forward, you should definitely do that with LinkedIn profile. Your LinkedIn profile picture is very important. It's pretty much the first thing that people see when they click on your profile, because humans, naturally, we are drawn to faces. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that your profile photo for LinkedIn is as professional as possible. Now, you want to wear clothing that is relevant to your field. So obviously, finance people will wear suits. People who are in medical fields and in scientific research will wear lab coats. Whatever it is that you would find you would wear at your job, you should wear in your profile photo. Now, if you're good at it and you're up to the task, then you can definitely take your own photo with your own camera, but I would highly recommend getting someone to take the photo for you, whether it's asking a favor from a friend or just getting a whole bunch of your friends and a whole bunch of your classmates together to hire a professional photographer to get you professional looking headshots is definitely worth its weight in gold. It shows employers that you are willing to invest in your career. Now on LinkedIn, you also have the option of adding a background photo. You should definitely take advantage of this. If you can get a photo of you in the act of something, or maybe you at an event, take multiple photos of yourself at different events and then make it sort of like a collage, or maybe you want to do something else with it, you should definitely make some sort of use of your background photo. Me personally, I have just a shot of myself in the act of taking a video. Another thing you want to do is you want to take your LinkedIn profile and you want to customize the URL. So you just go into settings, into your profile, and you edit the URL to make sure that it's customizable. If you just stick with your name, that should be good, your full name, and if there's anything specific you want to add to it, maybe just add the job title that you can. The URL with your full name is already taken. Try to keep it very simple and easy to remember. On LinkedIn, you get something right after your name or right below your name that's called a headline. Oftentimes people will use this to show what job description or job title they have. What you should really do is you should use it to showcase what you can do to help someone. So a civil engineers might sound something like improving mid-scale infrastructure projects, private and public. Next is your about section. It's kind of like your highlight, but even longer. Your about section should be about you, not just the things that you can do, but how you got to where you are and why you do what you do. This is basically kind of like people asking you to tell a bit about yourself when you're in a networking event, or when someone says, hey, tell me about yourself. You definitely want to make sure you get in a story in there, a little short story of how you got to where you are, and you also want to get in your why, of why you want to do this, what compels you to do the job and follow the industry that you're in. These are the two most compelling things, the how and the why. As for all the other parts of your profile, like your qualifications, your experience, your education, all those types of things, you want to generally keep the same rules that you would apply to putting on a resume. keep it brief and make sure that you highlight all of the highlights that you have for your previous job. Like let's say you got recognition, you were at the top of your class or whatever it is, make sure that you put those in. One thing you can do on LinkedIn is you can ask for recommendations and endorsements from your connections. So whether it's your project partners or your managers or former teachers, former colleagues, whatever, you can ask them to endorse some of the skills that you have listed that you can do, like Microsoft Word or whatever it is that you can do, soft skills like problem solving, creativity. Ask them to endorse you. Recommendations are a little bit different, which is basically asking someone to write a little blurb about their experience working with you, working for you, whatever it is. You also want to be very strategic with who you ask to do that. You want to definitely get someone who you have worked for, someone you have worked with on the same level, and someone who has worked under you, so someone you have led, if you have led anyone. Now, you can open yourself to recruiters, but if you're also already in a job and you don't want your boss to know that you are looking to maybe leave the company, you can check your privacy settings and have it set to that you're looking for opportunities only to show to recruiters. So we got the profile out of the way. Well, how do you look for a job now? Now, LinkedIn does have a very similar job posting service, which is kind of similar to Indeed, Monster.com, all those sites. You want to follow pretty much the same rules that you would follow for applying on Indeed or Monster.ca. You just want to make sure that you follow the application rules accordingly. Make sure you apply for jobs that you actually qualify for, because otherwise you might just seem like someone who's spraying and praying, as they say. And yeah, pretty much just keep with the same rules and principles that you would for applying for a job on other sites. Now, what makes LinkedIn unique is the social networking and social media aspect of the platform. The ability to connect with people who you don't actually already know yet is actually very helpful. There are 3 different tiers of connections. There's first degree connections, in which you are already connected with the person, second degree connections in which you share mutual connections, at least one, and then third degree where you really don't know the person. Now, if you can make any connection requests, make sure that you find people that you're very specific with, someone who you can provide value to, and obviously someone who can provide value back to you. You want to make sure that every connection request that you sent is personalized with a message saying how you know each other, what you can do to help the person, and any other relevant information. If you can, ask for a friend, you have a mutual connection with that person, you can ask that mutual connection to connect you with that person. And especially if you're trying to connect with a recruiter, an important thing is that you want to seem enthusiastic and wanting to connect with people, but you also don't want to seem desperate. So make sure your connection message and the very first messages that you send aren't just, hey, I'm looking for a job, can you give me a job? Moving on to the social networking and the networking part of it, you want to basically kind of treat this similar to other social networking platforms. One important part of it is that you want to engage with the people on the platform. So commenting, liking, and sharing other people's posts on the platform will definitely get you recognized by those said people. And it goes without being said that you definitely want to be doing that for recruiters or employers or really anyone who you look up to or think that you might be able to get value from, and you might be able to give value to them. Next up is not just consuming content, but producing content and posting on LinkedIn. Now, of course, if you're looking for a job, you can post saying, hey, I'm looking for a job, I want some help, I want you guys to help me. That's fine. And you should do that, but you definitely want to make sure that the majority of your posts are valuable to other people and that you are giving value on the platform to other people who see those said posts. So posting content like sharing articles or sharing photos or videos or infographics that are relevant and related to your field, your industry, your niche is very valuable to the people who might be reading or watching that. Doing that not only helps them, but it shows that you are very knowledgeable in your field, that you are very deep in your field, and that you are someone who wants to share value with people. But you should definitely be taking seriously the posting and content aspect of it, because there are about 280 billion post views every single year, but every single day, there's only really about 2 to 5 million posts that are made on the platform. So that's really only less than like 1%. So you have a 1 to 100 ratio of content to content consumers. So what other kind of content should you post specifically? Well, photos do very well on the platform, specifically photos of yourself. Maybe it's a photo of yourself at an event. Maybe it's a photo of you graduating. People like faces and humans are naturally drawn to them. Another thing is quick thoughts, things that you could consider tweetable, thoughts about your industry, thoughts about news that has changed within your industry. Write it down into a post and then send it out. And if that thought is large enough, what you can actually do is you can publish an article on LinkedIn, basically like a blog. Publishing articles very firmly establishes you almost as an expert, or at least someone who is very much knowledgeable in the field, perhaps a commentator. This will show recruiters and other people that you are someone who knows a lot about this field or this industry, or at least, if nothing else, that you are very passionate about it. And of course, if you can share other people's photos, other people's posts, their articles online, that would also be considered a good, valuable post as well. Try to do this at least once a day. If you can't, then try to do it maybe 5 times a week, maybe 3 times a week. Start small if you have to and then build up to it, but you definitely want to take advantage of posting. Now that was with LinkedIn. How do you do that with other sites? Can you do that with Instagram? Can you do that with Facebook? Well, it's a little bit different depending on what your industry is and what the profile you make is. Me personally, I have my own professional Instagram, LinkedIn, and all of those pages on other social media platforms that I use for my own personal brand. But generally the same rules apply for LinkedIn as they do across multiple platforms. So let's summarize. If all else fails and you really don't remember anything else from this video, what you should remember is put your best foot forward. Always do what you can to try to help people. Make as many posts as you can to try to help people. Make things about them and engage in the community. So I hope that video was very helpful for you guys. What you should do now is go onto your phone, onto your computers. If you guys don't have LinkedIn accounts, you should definitely have them by now. Go and implement all those steps by changing your profile, updating your profile. If you do all those things that I had mentioned in this video, then you should definitely be on your way to a successful career. Thank you guys. Good luck.